See, this right here is what they call evidence. An ICE whistleblower just leaked a memo, and what it says is absolutely alarming. See, according to the disclosure, ICE leadership issued a secret, yes, I said secret, internal memo telling agents that they could enter people's homes without a judge's warrant. And let me be very clear about this. That was a lie. The Fourth Amendment says that the government cannot enter your home unless a judge signs a warrant, you give consent, or there is a real emergency. And this memo allegedly tells ICE agents to ignore all of that. See, instead of a judge's warrant, ICE agents were told that they could rely on ICE paperwork form that's not signed by a judge, mind you, to force entry into homes. And that's called an illegal order. And here's the part that really matters. The memo was kept secret, meaning they knew this was illegal. That's why it wasn't emailed and it wasn't officially distributed. In fact, supervisors were told to pass it on verbally, briefly show it, and then take it back. See, that's not misunderstanding. That's knowing the order is illegal. Even DHS's own training materials say that warrantless home entry like this is unconstitutional. Now, here's what the ICE agents themselves need to understand. Following an illegal order is still illegal. See, if an ICE agent enters a home without a judicial warrant, they can be charged in state court for unlawful entry or assault, and they should be. They can be charged federally for violating civil rights. They can be sued personally in civil court, not just the agency, the actual ICE agent themselves. See, just
Hey guys, they're about to deploy us. From the amount of clothes they're giving us, we're either taking over Minnesota or Greenland. Hey guys, they're about to deploy us. From the amount of clothes they're giving us, we're either taking over Minnesota or Greenland. Hey guys, they're about to deploy us. From the amount of clothes they're giving us, we're either taking over Minnesota or Greenland.
Trump is mobilizing 1,500 Army paratroopers to go into Minnesota. If those service members actually go there and are willing to take up arms against their fellow U.S. citizens, we're fucked. It's over. That's more than a civil war. You have the president calling in our own military to attack U.S. citizens. And he's doing it because Tim Walz is finally mobilizing the National Guard. And he knows damn well that those ICE agents are no match for the National Guard. Question now is whether or not these Army service members are willing to do this. Are they really going to take arms up against U.S. citizens? It's a very volatile situation. And
We're gonna come back for your whole family, okay?
No, okay, no problem. Me van amenazando ahora. Me dicen que si yo no salgo van a regresar por mi familia. Y todos.
We're gonna come back for your whole family, okay?
No, okay, no problem.
Real quick, is Donald Trump's mental health a concern for you after some of the things that he's been saying in Europe?
Well, he said a lot of crazy shit today at Davos. I think it's time to take the keys away from Grandpa.
Their conversations are not, how do we make it better for the people? Their conversations are, how do we take as much from the people and make it look like we're working for the people? That's it. So when you don't understand the rules of the game you're constantly confused. But when you understand that they do not work for us and they work for them, everything makes sense. You're not going to take your grandpa, who's 85 years old, who sits in the corner, fucking drools on himself during Thanksgiving, that you have to scream at. What's Grandpa doing over there? I don't know. I think he's asleep. Grandpa!
Yeah, right. Make sure he's not dead.
And put these people in office. And another reason they continue to get put in office is because they're so fucking unaware of what's going on. They can be manipulated to do whatever. There should be no world where people who are in their 70s and 80s are running the world, because they don't have to live with the repercussions of the world that they create.
I give all praise and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha-Rakah Kodash. Double honors unto our apostle elders which rule great millstone well, and shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure unto the end. Shalom wa abba babal. So we're living in the last days of the wicked, the Edomite, the so-called white race, the red devil the Bible speaks of, which they're the accuser of the Israelite. They're the adversary of the Israelite. The Israelite is the so-called Negro, Latino, and Native American Indian of North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans. And we've been scattered through the world amongst the other nations for generations. So not every Israelite is going to look like a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American Indian. All right. But the ingredient that we have that sets us apart from the rest of the world is we have faith. We hope in the Bible, the words of Yahweh to be true. They speak of his son, Yahweh Shai, which the so-called white race, the red devil the Bible speaks of, have set their image all over the world and deceived the world with their image. All right. Which I could pull that image up for you. All right. They've lied to the world. They deceived the world. All right. When the truth is Yahweh Shai is a dark-skinned man. All right. He would have been the tribe of Judah. When he comes back, he is not coming as a man, but as a God, invincible. All right. But when he was on the earth as the Messiah, all right, he was a man and he would have looked like a so-called black man. Now, when he returns, he's going to be glorified, but he's still going to have the dark skin color. All right. Because that's the original look. All right. Of the Father and the Son. Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, and also the angels. Once again, the Israelites been able to marry into other nations, and so our people took on the features of the other nations. But the foundation, according to the prophecies, is that the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which been scattered throughout the world, all right, in slavery. And when Yahweh Shai returns, he's returning as the Lion of Judah. All right, he's going to look like a so-called black man. All right. And all the 12 tribes were originally dark-skinned people. All right. But once again, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the red devil the Bible speaks of, set up his image. All right. And everyone chased this image, all right? So you have a lot of Israelites that even look like a so-called white man, because the Israelite men had children with Edomite women, all right? And if you got to be honest, in every Jake family, you have a dark-skinned relative and a light-skinned relative. All right, just think of your lightest, the lightest skin color of a relative, right? Marrying a so-called Caucasian or another so-called light-skinned person, the child will, most likely would become lighter. All right. So we don't judge on color. We judge on spirit, whether you have faith and hope in the Holy Scriptures, which prophesied of all these things that are happening in 2026, the year of apostasy and Jacob's trouble, because they're going to make that implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling soon, and it's going to be mandatory worldwide. All right. And you can see that with the uptick of the violating of rights. All right. Soon they're just going to take away your rights and demand that you have an implantable microchip. in your body for buying or selling, and depopulation will come with that. All right. So it says in this Yahoo News, Trump's latest temper tantrum sparked calls for removal from office, calling him insane, which I showed you a video of that. All right. And what they're calling him is like a child. He's acting like a child. And that's in the Bible, that the leaders of this world would be like children. All right. See, temper tantrum. It says an emotional outburst, usually in young children. A temper tantrum is a normal part of development where a child expresses strong emotions, right? So, Nero 47, all right, if you ever took care of old people, they become like children. They go, into diapers while children are coming out of diapers, all right? So he's throwing temper tantrums because he's like a child in the mind, all right? And that's in the Bible. All right, this is biblical prophecy that's taking place in our time. Isaiah 3, verse 10, say ye to the righteous, all right, to the righteous Israelites, it's going to be well with you, that it shall be well with him, for they shall eat the fruit of their doings, which we should be repenting, returning to our rightful lot in Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. Man, goes Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, man, woman, and child. It says, woe unto the wicked. They're wicked because they destroyed that order. They said that there is no God, or they changed the image of God and his son. All right, changed the names of the true living God and his son. Changed the doctrine. This is why you have these different churches, got these different Christian bookstores, right? Even the Declaration of Independence, they use God in this. But what God are they talking about? You see, because they've set up false gods. All right. And I'm hoping to do a sit down on it. But my daughter, we got a book that was, it was accidentally sent to us. But it has a lot of meat in there about the history of the Israelites in America and their slavery. And they show an image of Cristobal Colon, also known as Christopher Columbus. And when he came and he was on ships. And when they came, they were in armor. And the natives that were here were naked. They weren't in armor. All right. They had hunting and fishing tools and farming tools. They weren't murdering each other like this red devil likes to tell you. The so-called white man, the red devil, the Bible speaks of, the accuser of our brethren. All right. He comes to murder, steal, and lie. All right. And he's done this his whole entire life. That's why he's going back to it now. All right. Everybody's pointing the finger at him, which it was prophesied it'd be revealed that they're the devil, right? Because they said that they're an angel of light. They call themselves white, right? When they're really the Edomite, the wicked, the red devil the Bible speaks of. So woe unto the wicked. Oh, and in that image, I hope to do a sit down on it, is they had the gods of Greece and Rome. And they got the gods that they worship from Egypt and Babylon, the Medes and the Persians. It was passed down, and you can read about it. It's actually historical fact. There's a book I shared on here called Cleopatra, and it told you how the Ptolemy dynasty was known for searching out the gods of the heathen and collecting them. All right, these devils do this. All right, because they're a hypocritical nation. And they're wicked, all right? All they want is power to murder and steal and lie, all right? And they cause confusion on the earth. Woe unto the wicked, it shall be ill with him, for the reward of his hands shall be given him from the Father, Yahweh. He's going to send his son, the King of Kings, Yahweh Shai, and Yahweh Shai is going to punish the wicked because they even had part in the crucifixion of Yahweh Shai in their past as Roman pagan the Roman pagan empire, which we're in the second leg, being America is the reincarnation of Rome. All right, it says, I'm going to get this in the NLT to get my point. Isaiah 3 verse 12, childish leaders oppress my people, the Israelite, and women rule over them. Trump's parties that are controlling these militaries that are going to people's homes, threatening their families, are controlled by women, whether it's Pam Bondi or Kristi Noem. And women rule over them. Oh, my people, your leaders, like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and the Black Panthers, mislead you, which they're going to bring you into a slaughter. They send you down the wrong road because they're telling you to try to bang it out with this man's military, and this man is the sword, a weapon of mass destruction. You're not going to be able to go against his weapons. The Lord has sent the elect, all right? And the elect hold the truth, and the truth is like light, like a fire, all right? It says in Isaiah 54 verse 16, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals. So he made Esau the wicked, the sword of the Lord, and he gave him his weapon, which is deceit and the sword, the actual physical sword, that bloweth the coals in the fire, which they were blacksmith. And they got the earth through the sword, through the murder, the robbery, and lying that they're doing today. And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, which they created or invented. The Lord really created it through them. Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai gave the so-called white man, through demonic spirits, the information to build a nuclear weapon. And I have created the waster to destroy, which the so-called white man, his purpose is to destroy. Look at his M.O., all right, and that book I got from my daughter's school, it's a history book of the United States history. All right, the so-called white man just slaughtered all the native people from North America, Central America, South America, and the Caribbeans, and he's still doing this. You have the tribal people in Greenland crying that Nero is going to go into that land and take their shit and oppress them. Right? They rather be with Europe, they said. But it's the same people. The European Union is the beast that rides the whore. All right? I'm sorry, the whore rides the whore rides the beast, forgive me. The whore is America, and they control the world through Europe. All right, through the European Union, they have NATO, which America is part of NATO. All right? And they deceive the world. They act like they're against each other, but really they're moving together. But the Lord is going to cause them to go against each other in reality. All right? Yahweh is not mocked, neither is his son. Whatever you sow in the earth, you shall reap. So they sow throughout the world that they're against each other, but really they're confederate with each other against the Israelite. But the Lord is going to cause them to really go against each other. And it tells you that the European Union with NATO is going to go against this whore and shoot fire upon her with that great sword and turn this whore into a lake of fire, nuclear destruction. All right? Burn her with fire, which is in the scriptures. Everything I'm telling you is in the scriptures. All right? It says, no weapon that is formed against thee, the so-called white race, which is a weapon of mass destruction. And then they created a weapon, invented a weapon of mass destruction, the nuclear weapon, the great sword. Neither of these shall prosper. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. So we do these videos to edify our people, but it condemns the heathen, starting with that so-called white man, the red devil, which I'm going to show you what they're doing is condemning themselves, really, because they were given a certain decree that they put out in the beginning, Declaration of Independence, Constitution, and they're violating those. They're breaking their covenants. So what it's doing is it's going to make the kingdom go unto Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai instead of to the Edomite. They're thinking that they're going to try to regain power, bring us into a new form of slavery with a microchip, an implantable microchip, which they hide with the word tariff, all right, because a microchip with cryptocurrency is a tariff mechanism, all right? So they're going to try to cause the world to be chipped and depopulate the world at the same time, and they're going to find themselves fighting against Yahweh and his son Yahushai because they made war with the saints. All right. And every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh. This is how we go back to the land. And their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh, which Yahweh is going to send Yahushai to take us back to that land. Romans 10, verse 9. It says that if thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Yahushai, and shalt believe in thine heart that Yahweh hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved. For with the heart man believeth unto righteousness, and with the mouth confession is made unto salvation. And what are we confessing? For the scripture saith, we're confessing what the scripture is saying, whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. Now, he's going to take us back to that land, Isaiah 14, and he's going to remove the authority from the so-called white man that they have on the earth, which they're the wicked that rule the world. It says in Isaiah 14 and 1, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And this is what the so-called white man don't like, that Israelites are waking up to the truth when he built his whole entire society on lies. Now I'm going to jump down to verse 3. It says, and it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb, which is a prophecy against the king of Babylon, Nero 47, and say, how had the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? Yahweh had broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. Now I'm going to jump to the NLT and see what it says. It says, you will taunt the king of Babylon, Nero 47, you will say the mighty man has been destroyed. Yes, your insolence, which means he's disobedient, he's a wicked child, is ended. For Yahweh has crushed your wicked power and broken your evil rule. You struck the people with endless blows of rage and held the nations in your angry grip, which we saw in Davos' speech, with unrelenting tyranny. Now that word tyranny is to find that. It says cruel and oppressive government or rule, which this is what they're doing with giving the ice morsels the right to break down your door, all right, to bring that cold sword into your house and slaughter your family. Okay? They're bringing great wrath upon the people, and it's against the Israelite because we're telling the truth, which it tells you that they're going to kick us out of our houses. All right? It says that in 2 Ezra 16 and 70. It says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Because some of us are going to get spiritual power, and it tells you that we're going to have the ability, the authority to breathe fire upon them. Revelation 11 and 11. Let me go back to the KJV. It says, so it says in Revelation 11 And 3, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, the southern kingdom Israelites and the northern kingdom Israelites, to prophesy. We have the power to prophesy as we wait for the Lord. And they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth, which were in the end of the Edomites' kingdom. The so-called white man, he's at his end. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks, which we bear the light and the truth, which is the oil, standing before the power of the earth, Yahweh and his son Yahushua. And if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth and devoureth their enemies, which the Edomites, they're unbelieving. All right, so they're using unfaithful Israelites, and they're going to try to overcome us because they don't believe. Remember, they're unfaithful, but really they do, because why are they building billionaire bunkers? Why are they militarizing the police? Why are they doing all these different things, moving in fear of what the prophecies say? But they're moving as unbelieving fools because they think they can stop it. It says, and if any man will hurt them, talking about his elect, he must in this manner be killed. All right. So the Lord's going to send plagues upon these people for going against his elect. It says, and the worst plague is going to be the nuclear destruction, which is going to avenge us. Revelation 11:11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them, which now they want to flood our homes with soldiers, right, and try to destroy us. But the Lord said this. It says in Isaiah 59, verse 20, I'll start at 19. I'll start at 18. It says, according to their deeds, accordingly he will repay. Fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies, to the islands he will repay recompense, to the heathen. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, which is talking about Americas, and his glory from the rising of the sun, the east, when the enemy shall come in like a flood. They're going to send their soldiers in, which are going to be eventually these other nations. The spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him, which we're going to get spiritual power. Some brothers are going to have the power to die faithfully. Some brothers are going to have the power to dismantle their enemy, no matter how many of them or what they have. All right, because they're actually breaking the covenant that they had to do wickedness in this earth. All right, it says, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh. See, they're trying to oppress us because we're not following that wicked way no more. We're repenting. So they're at their end, and them trying to murder us for it is bringing their damnation. They're condemned. But for the Israelites that repent, as for me, this is my covenant with them, which all the Israelites will eventually receive part of this, but the 2/3 in America, which are going to sell out for, the ability to live, they're going to accept that implantable microchip, the mark of the beast. They're going to die here in that lake of fire, but they're going to come back reincarnated through the loin of the elect. All right. It says, as for me, this is my covenant with them, saith the Lord, my spirit that is upon me, and my words which I have put in thy mouth shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed's seed, saith Yahweh, from henceforth and forever. So the Lord made a covenant with us that we're never going to be completely destroyed, and that an Israelite will rule the world forever of the lineage of King David, which this is why Yahushua is coming back, which he was King Solomon in the reincarnation, and he's going to establish King David and the rest of the elect as the ruling class. All right, he's going to take the authority away from the men because they're not following the instruction that they were given. And it's all according to prophecy, but it was prophesied that they would actually do these things in these last days, which would trigger these different prophecies. Now, if you ever read this Declaration of Independence, they use, God saying that they have God-given rights. All right. So let me get to the second paragraph. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, which is a goddamn lie, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. All right, so pretty much you have the obligation, according to this, all right, declaration, all right, from July 4th, 1776, you have the obligation that if these laws are to be treaded upon, all right, that you had the obligation to set up something that was right. Okay? I'm going to read the first paragraph now. When the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, which we're seeing that happen, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation, which really the Lord has us doing this. And when you look up who was the main person that wrote this, right, the main idea came from, I'll pull it up. All right. It says Thomas Jefferson had the main idea and was the primary author of the Declaration of Independence, which really he had a vision. All right. He talks about this vision. All right. And he shared it. And there was, I believe, like 5 more that was with him in the writing of this Declaration of Independence. So it says Thomas Jefferson didn't just have a dream, but he was the primary author chosen by the Continental Congress to draft the Declaration of Independence in 1776, articulating Enlightenment ideals of equality and natural rights, famously stating all men are created equal. All right? So this was given to them on the left-hand side, all right? Just like the nuclear missile was given to them on the left-hand side. But it was for them to be entangled with it later on. Because here it is in Ecclesiasticus 10, verse 7, pride is hateful before God and man, and by both the one commit iniquity. And that's why he tried to say that all men were created equal, because he was trying to act humble, all right? But the pride of the devil, we know that they don't see every man equal, right? They call themselves white superior, right? They call themselves a superior race, white supremacists. All right, so pride is hateful before God and man. Our God, the true God, is Yahweh, and his son Yahweh Shai is our Savior, the Messiah, and man, and by both the one commit iniquity. It says in verse 8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So they're going to lose their authority, and it's going to be given to the Israelites, which are moving in a righteous spirit, starting with the elect. It says, Ecclesiasticus 10 verse 9, why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, which we're seeing that through that Nero 47. He's covetous. They want to take the earth. For such an one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. He's forsaking everything. He's forsaking his children. He's forsaking everything. So they're going to lose. All right? They're going to lose because the Lord's going to make them lose. All right? It says, the physician cut off a long disease, and he that is today a king tomorrow shall die. And that's the truth. Look what it says in the GNT for the Babylonians. All right? This is GNT, Jeremiah 50. And it is verse 35. The Lord says, Yahweh says, death to Babylonia, death to its people, to its rulers, to its men of wisdom, death to its lying prophets. What fools they are, death to its soldiers, how terrified they are. Destroy its horses and chariots, death to its hired soldiers, how weak they are. Destroy its treasures, plunder and loot. Bring a drought on its land and dry up its rivers. Babylonia, which is going to be that nuclear destruction. Babylonia is a land of terrifying idols that have made fools of the people. And so Babylon will be haunted by demons and evil spirits, and by unclean birds. Never again will people live there, not for all time to come. But she's going to cause it to be a lake of fire, and nothing will dwell here but desert creatures once it cools down. The same thing will happen to Babylon as happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, which was an example of what would happen. Fire coming down from heaven. And when I destroyed them and the nearby towns, no one will ever live there again. I, the Lord, have spoken. One more. Lamentations 4. All right, so the Edomites, they're being deceived, thinking that they could continue. They think in their heart that their kingdom will continue forever. This is why they're going to come down with the great wrath, knowing that they have but a short time. Lamentation 4, verse 21, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, the so-called white race, that dwelleth in the land of Uz, America, a.k.a. Babylon the Great. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, meaning proud, and shalt make thyself naked, but you're being revealed as the devil with each movement that you make against the people. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. This is breaking the contracts that we were enslaved under. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins, but he's going to send his son back, and he's going to visit you. Isaiah 63:1. Who is this that cometh from Edom with dyed garments from Basra? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Wherefore art thou red in thine apparel, because of the slaughter, the great slaughter of Edomites, and thy garments are like him that treadeth in the wine fat, which Basra is representing America, the capital of the Edomite, the so-called white race, the red devil the Bible speaks of. All right, now I'm going to go to Isaiah 47, It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, aka America. Sit on the ground. There is no throne. You forfeited it with your evil acts, and your riches got by deceit. O daughter of the Chaldeans, this is why they call themselves Mega, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind the mill, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Your shame is being revealed. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen, which is being seen. This is why they're saying your President Nero 47, the king of Babylon, is acting like a child. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, Yahweh of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel, which he's going to send his son Yahushua, and there's going to be a great slaughter. Shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. Wa abba babal.